Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we give you 2 or 3 interesting stories from the news. Do you answer your telephone? We'll get you on your way in about 20 minutes, and hopefully you'll learn something fun today. My guest host today is Sebastian Perez from Maine Library. He is our programmer here at Maine. Remember, we got interrupted last week. Thank you very much, Sheldon, for filling in for me. This is our programming month where we're highlighting all the various people who do programming around the library. So, Sebastian, tell us what you guys do for Maine Library in particular with programming.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank you for inviting me, Bob. I'm very excited to be here. We do a lot here in Maine Library. We're a flagship library located here in downtown Fort Lauderdale. We have 8 floors. If you haven't come to Maine Library, please do. It's a brutalist architecture building, very attractive, very brutal, and we do a lot of community programs, all types of programs for our Fort Lauderdale neighbors.
Yeah, brutalist is a type of architecture. It's not necessarily an insult.
No, no, no.
And by the way, we have a moon rock. We'll get to that
Yes.
later on because our very first story is about stuff coming back from space. Number 1, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Rubio came back. Now, I don't have a story up on the screen for you about that. I just wanted to make a note of that because he just came back on Tuesday, longest time any American has been in space. So just making a note, he made it through safe after over a year of being up there. But what really was interesting was OSIRIS came back. And Sebastian, did you watch the show back when? We talked about this when we launched this thing years ago. Back in season 1 of Tech Talk, we talked about launching this up there and going out to visit the asteroid.
2020.
Right. And then we smashed into the asteroid. We captured some material from it and then launched back off of it. And now it's taken some time to get it. Space is big to get the whole little capsule back here to Earth. So there's 2 really fun things about this. One, we have a piece of another planet back here on Earth. As I was teasing about earlier, we've got a moon rock here at Maine Library, but this is the first time we've got something else that we went out and got that's pristine. And they've opened it up, and there's some dust-like material. I know, very scientific. They're not going to... Are you excited about this at all, Sebastian?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was so excited about the pristine portion, that's never been touched or manipulated by humans.
Looking to see if the picture, here we go. Here's the picture to give you a good idea of what the size of this little capsule is that came back. That little box inside there, inside of everything with all the extra stuff, is where the actual box of material that they gathered back is. 2 interesting points about this. One that we covered back when, but I want to reiterate it again. They gathered so much stuff that it jammed the lid open, and they had to jiggle the spacecraft to get the lid to close down properly. So that's one of the reasons they're being hyper careful and also careful about their descriptions because they don't quite know what they have yet. It's going to take months. So we'll do another story on this in a couple of more months about what's going on with this.
Awesome.
But also, the spacecraft didn't come back. Did you see that part in the bottom of the article there?
Yes.
So the spacecraft zoomed by Earth, kicked out this little capsule, and went off to the next asteroid that it's going to go check on.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that's going to be another year and a half, 2 years before it gets out there, does this whole routine again, and then comes back.
And they changed its name now because it's going to another mission.
Yep, because it's going to a different asteroid. So it's going to get it has a new slight different name for the mission. And finally, for anyone out there that's like, oh, we're going to do all the science and we're going to find out all this stuff. We will. But they're going to save almost 70% of this material and just lock it back up. because NASA believes we're going to have better analytics and how we can test this stuff out in the future.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Isn't it a lot of fun? I mean, it's just, this is one of those really cool things that happen. As always, links are in the show notes for you, so you can go take a look at these articles yourself and take a look at some of these pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something else for the future from our next article. Kind of in the past, kind of in the future. I do have one minor quibble on this one about the headline here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I know
Tell
what you
me.
mean. It's a little misleading.
Oh, well, I wasn't even going there yet. It's not the Sahara Desert.
Oh,
It's the Sahara. The word Sahara is desert. That's what
so
it means, desert.
The desert.
Yeah. So it's just the Sahara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But as the headline does say, when hippos ruled the Sahara. And so this is a chance. There's a brand new study just came out. Again, this is why we put you the links in there. Go read the real study. It's kind of excruciating in parts, but it talks a lot about where water comes from and what happens when you get a lot of water on planet Earth. And when you have ice caps, large, like glacial ice age type ice caps, where the precession, the wobble on the planet is lessened because there's actually more weight. And you can see these 4 pictures here of what the Sahara looked like: 126, then 21, then 9, and now back to today. And you can see how that ebb and flow of the actual sand portion of the desert grows.
So do you think that thousands of years from now, it's going to look back? It's going to look lush and green?
It's going to go back to being lush and green if we don't screw it up.
Right.
Because that's part of the issue is the Sahara is expanding right now because humans are overgrazing and causing problems. And it's actually expanding farther south than it ever has. As you can see here, even 21,000 years ago, it never quite reached that far south in some areas.
Right.
So yes, if we can fix our problems and hopefully still be around in another 6,000 years, it would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hope we are. Then you'll be able to get back. And it looks like it's about a 21,000 year cycle. So we're partway into that cycle already. So it's anywhere from 14 to 9,000 more years before it gets back to this type here on the lower left. Did you ever think of hippos and the Sahara in the same sentence?
Can't say that I have. No, I can't imagine hippos in the Sahara.
And one of the ways they started researching this, it's not even in this article, it's Egypt had the Egyptian civilization was around so long, they had their own archaeologists looking at ancient Egyptian stuff. And those archaeologists were finding times when giraffes and hippos and everything were in the Sahara, where they knew when the Egyptians knew, wait, this is all sand. Mm-hmm. How these creatures that we're used to having from much farther south up the Nile, why are these here and what are they doing here? So it's kind of coming full circle when ancient Egyptian archaeologists' studies are being restudied. These are the fun stories.
Absolutely.
You know? Now, we got one more story for you that's kind of crazy. This one, I shared this out with a couple of people in my circles, and it has caused some consternation. I'm going to let you go first, Sebastian. Talk about this. Tell me what you think about this article, and tell me, should you call? Should you text? Should you leave voicemails?
You know, I'm glad you asked. I think I'm a little passionate about this topic.
Go for
it. I'm gonna copy this article. I'm gonna send the link to all my friends and family. As a millennial, I think this is something that we have been all talking about, especially if you work in an environment where there's different generations. Yeah, don't call necessarily. I don't like talking on the phone. I don't know. It's just something that for me I didn't understand why, but I think this article just painted the picture very well. And it divided it into nice little sections where it says, okay, this is what you do. And it's for both ends, both sides trying to reason why is it that a person's probably not answering and why you shouldn't call like 6 times in a row, which just seems like common sense, it's etiquette, but some people need to be reminded.
Yeah. So effectively, do you ever answer the phone if somebody just calls you? Or I guess, what are your edge cases where you do answer the phone if you're someone who doesn't?
When someone's calling me and they normally don't call me and I don't expect that phone call, if it's someone who, like, I know there's a portion where it talks about friends and family, you have kind of the groups of people, your top 5, when we go into MySpace terms, that you would answer the phone, or, it's kind of like there is that liberty, there's a freedom there. But if it's a professional setting, or it all depends, I normally just, if I'm busy, I'm gonna not answer, hope that they send me a text. If it's a voicemail, I'm gonna listen to the voicemail right away, hope it's not an emergency.
Yeah, see, I am almost the opposite. Okay. Only because, for 2 things. One, I didn't think anybody needed to know this last part down here, that you don't need to answer the phone. I'm like, yeah, if I'm not going to answer the phone, I have a friend, we call back and forth all the time, talk on the phone. We send occasional texts, but it's pretty much a drive time talk for us. Mm-hmm. And if I call her and she doesn't answer, okay, great. I just know she didn't want to talk at that moment. Maybe she can't. She's in a meeting. Maybe she just doesn't feel like talking on the phone right then and there. And that's okay. Just don't answer the phone. You don't have to text me back and say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to you. It's okay. I get it. Yeah. But I do answer. I answer. If the phone rings, I just answer because I'm just used to that. I mean, I grew up with the stuck to the wall on a landline, and I remember getting the extra long cord on the phone in the kitchen so we could walk around and do stuff.
Or try to do stuff.
Yeah. But the whole text before calling, I don't get either, because I just call. I mean, if I want to talk to you, I'm going to call you. Mm-hmm. And if it's someone that I am used to interacting with on a regular basis, I will have definitely said, hey, if I call you and you don't answer, it's okay. Don't worry. Because I know not everybody does what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm 100% with you on voicemails.
Yeah,
I don't even do voicemails.
Yeah. I have to test out the iOS 17 feature where it transcribes them live.
Yeah. And we get somebody out there on the thing saying nobody texts before calling.
Yeah, it's kind of redundant, but what, you're trying to let them know, hey, I'm gonna call you, just a little warning. Maybe to schedule something, which I understand.
But so you can do that by text. Schedule it by text. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I interrupted you. You were about to say, I'm sorry.
No, the iOS, I thought that was really cool because it did say it was like a throwback. You could listen to the voice box or the voice messages if a voicemail's coming in. It's like, okay, is it worth me even picking up? It could be spam. Now, if a voicemail is being sent to you or recorded, you could see it while it's being recorded while they're speaking.
And you can do that.
So convenient.
Yeah. Closed caption for
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't do voicemail at all, period. I mean, I don't. at work in a professional setting for our office phone, it actually says that I have a nice little professional thing. I prefer to answer all of your requests by email, and I give them my email address. I do not usually I do not normally interact by voicemail or something like that. Is what my message says.
Mm-hmm.
But for my personal phone, it's not even activated. If you try calling me and leaving a voicemail, it just says this person doesn't have a voicemail.
Wow,
It's like,
that's a
it's
little
not even
shocking to
activated.
me, Bob. I'm a little surprised. I thought everyone just had to have their
Yeah.
voicemail activated.
No, I never did, and couldn't even get into it now. Probably, I have no idea,
Yeah.
because I just don't. You can call me. I saw caller ID. I saw, hey, this is a spam call. I don't care. I don't need to do it. Oh, hey, this is my mom. I should probably call her back at some point, eventually.
Do you like FaceTiming?
Not really. I don't do that much at all. Mostly because if I'm on the phone, I start walking. I instinctively, as soon as I pick up the phone, plug in the headset, I just start pacing around the house, around the 6th floor here. I walk the art gallery. Thank you very much for changing that out for me all the time. And I get a chance to just do something else while I'm talking.
Yeah.
So FaceTiming seems like I have to sit still.
Yes, you do have to sit still. And that's something that they mentioned, which I'm glad they did. I think for me, FaceTiming is just like another level of intruding. It's like you don't know what the person's doing and you're FaceTiming them. They could be in the restroom for all you know.
Yeah. Again, I can't remember the last time somebody even tried to on purpose. Every once in a while on WhatsApp or whatever, I'll get a thing. It'll pop up and then close right away. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm like, I get it. Don't worry. But yeah, I think that this was a really good, and this is why this link is in the show notes for everybody to go look at. It's a great way to have a little conversation with your family and friends about what are your ground rules? What are your expectations? Maybe you are upsetting people by not having voicemail and you never told them, hey, I just don't do voicemail. Everybody in my family is now pretty rock solid on, Bob, you want Bob, you either text him or you call him. Doesn't matter which way, just which one do you feel about?
I love that. It's about respecting people's ways of communicating. Everyone does it differently. And yeah, that's important. It's where it says you don't need to answer a phone. You don't need to do things that stress you out.
You don't have to answer every email. You don't have to answer every text. You can just take in information. Occasionally, there should be something that acknowledges that they got it. Like I like WhatsApp Signal for those reasons because I get a read receipt automatically.
Yeah.
And that's good enough. Hey, I texted you. I saw that you read it. If I didn't need a response, that's okay. Good, great. Done.
Yeah. Outlook now has a little emoji response to emails, and I don't know if people notice it, but I have responded to people with a thumbs up rather than
that's good.
Saying thank you.
Yeah, I do that in Teams a lot, where I just like here, click.
Yeah.
The fast little and emojis now is legal documents. We're just not going to go there. We're not going to get into the whole text messaging issues. Just too much. So I did want to cover one of the cool events that you've got here at Main Library. We talked about architecture stuff. You actually went out and got an artist for all architecture, not just of Main Library, but all. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so this is the first storefront exhibition. It's a new art space that we have on the first floor. And our inaugural exhibitor is Christina Leon. She is a local architect and also a sculptor, and she creates these beautiful, delicate, intricate pieces, models of original buildings. In this case, it's Fort Lauderdale buildings, and she creates them out of paper. Seeing them online, seeing them digitally does not do it justice.
You've got to come in to watch these things. And as a bonus, Sebastian's got the original architecture diorama, I guess is the best way to put it, for Main Library, because we're about to celebrate 40 years next year as 50. No.
Well, Main Library is
Main 40, Library is 40.
50 overall. Yeah,
and 50 overall for the library system, 2024. So Yeah, there's some really fun little things going on in there that if you get a chance to swing by the building, you're going to do it. And I will give one fast plug for something I'm doing here at this building with Sebastian later on. In October, you're going to come see us on October 18th and see that piece of the moon and see all the architecture stuff. And I'll put you in space in virtual reality. It's a lot of fun. We can do some cool stuff around here.
Yes, absolutely.
I think so. Thank you very much for being here, Sebastian.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, hopefully everybody out there in our extended families understands whether they're supposed to call us or not.
I hope so.
We hope. If there is a news article that you want us to cover in depth, like phone calls, give it to us at creationstation@broward.org, and we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.